Hello, friends. Hello, friends.
A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh, Nathan Drudy back with you for another week, and another week where we have coordinated the direction of our 19th Tee caps. Drudster, we are on a roll so far.
We are. We don't message each other ahead of time to ensure that we do have the forward or the backwards, but we've got a guest joining us, so we thought we'd look a little bit more professional for Thursday's ep.
That will be a little Easter egg moving forward for Monday nights for our listeners to see which way the Caps are facing. You did flag a guest. Of course, this is Monday night. We are recording with one of our very good friends, potentially the closest friend of the 19th Tee podcast. It'd be a hotly contested position. The Wizard, Justin Warren, will join us. You'll hear that episode on Thursday. He's back on home shores for a few weeks after a sensational last couple of months in the States. So we'll catch up with all things Justin Warren. A few things to get through, though, as part of our traditional Monday evening. We will toast, though, at the top, as we do each and every week, to our coordinated cap success, Druids, thanks to our good friends at Gage Roads Brewing Company, WA's premier craft brewery, named after the strip of ocean between Rottnest and Fremantle. Having a little trouble with the clip top this week round. Where's your wheat picks?
I've bitten the thumbnail down a bit too much.
Yeah, a couple of nerves this time of year. Drudster, we also do it thanks to our great friends at Cobra Puma.
We do, KM. And of course, Cobra Puma introducing the first complete line of 3D printed multi-material putters. Now, this was a little earlier in the year. You and I have both seen their 3D printed putters in action. They are truly outstanding. There's three distinct models in this release that we're reading out here. The Grand Sport 35, which is the blade, the Supernova, which is the fang, and the Agera, which is the mallet. So depending on the style that you like, I'm probably more the Grand Sport 35 blade type operator. Not sure about yourself, KM, but they are fantastic putters. There's a whole range of technical, I suppose, specifications that you can go and read through on their website if you are so inclined to do that. But for me, I just like the look. That's what I generally go off. And if I hole a few putts when I practice them, then it goes in the bag. So make sure that you check out the new range of Cobra Puma putters, the 3D printed putters, in fact. So you can check them out at all good and bad golf stores around the country.
We're all about the aesthetics here at the 19th Tee Druids and very little about the substance. So, yeah, that's spot on for us. I also did notice our friends at Cobra Puma promoting a new driver, the Air X Druids. And I was caught, I must say, by the caption on the Instagram channel a few days ago. Sick of always slicing off the tee. Hands up, guilty. Try the new Air X driver. You can thank us later. So look forward to hearing from our great mate 40 about that, because both the Speed Zone and the Rad Speed have progressively, I suppose, turned my slice into a push fade. So I look forward to seeing what the Air X can do, maybe get me down the centre finally on the fairways. Drew, so speaking of the centre of the fairways, it was absolute darts in the final event of the season on the Ladies European Tour. We went to Spain for the Andalucia Open de Spania. It was won by Carlota Ciganda in her home event, but really the headline was Ataya Titakul, who finished third in this event but wrapped up the race to Costa del Sol for the season. Hot on her heels, of course, was our good friend Steph Kyriacou, which is really what we want to spend our time speaking about, but we'll spend a little bit of time on both the winner of the tournament and the winner of the event. For the tournament, Druids, Carlota Ciganda, her first victory since 2019 at the top level for women's golf. She has come back from some significant limb injuries to both, I think it's the elbow was the injury for Carlota Ciganda, but a prodigiously talented player. We saw her star for the women's European team in the Solheim Cup most recently. And look, not necessarily the name that we always talk about at the very pointy end of women's golf, but someone with an awful lot of talent. I think that's a third or fourth victory now across both the European and LPGA tours. And yeah, nice to see her get it done in front of a home crowd there in Spain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, romped it in. To be honest, 4-shot winner over Maja Stark of Sweden, which is, and then they were a further 3 shots ahead of Attaya Thidikul. So really, those two separated themselves at the top, and then it was really Carlotta Saganda, who I guess is romping to victory, takes home 90,000. Big ones, if you don't mind, and wins in her home country, which I think, as you mentioned, KM. So fantastic result to her. 3 Spaniards in the top 5, and of course an Australian in there as well in Steph Kyriacou. But I don't have a great deal on Carlotta Saganda. I don't know if you did, but I was just going to talk briefly on Attaya Thidikul.
Yeah, I think we can go to Attaya Thidikul. One of the more convincing victories in terms of a season-long perspective. So I mentioned she does secure the race to Costa del Sol. That's selling her a little short. She had it secured prior to this event, Druids. More than double the points than the next closest in second. An incredible year for such a young player in Thidikul. And you think about the depth that we speak about at an international level for the women's game, and to think that someone like Attaya Thidikul can be so convincing, yet we don't really tend to speak about her in that same sentence as, say, your Nelly Quarters, your Jin Young Ko's, Paddy Tavatanikit, Nasa Hataoka, the list goes on. And there's Thidikul so convincingly wrapping up the Ladies European Tour for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, a couple of wins this year on the Ladies European Tour, as you mentioned, 12 top 10 finishes, stroke average of 69.35, lowest round of 64. All the statistics really point towards a really top showing, and that's what she, I guess, is rewarded with throughout the year. The Thai team, as we've spoken about, Paddy Tavatanikit and the likes, have been so much spoken about, I guess, in the last 12 months, I guess more than we have maybe 2 years ago, 18 months ago when this podcast started. So it's great to see the Thai team really stepping up, and Attaya Thidikul's the one at the forefront leading the race to Costa del Sol and holding the trophy at the end of it.
I say only a few points behind. It was never really close, but in third place, as we kind of flagged there at the top, is our very own Steph Kyriacou. Quite remarkable, Drews. I mean, I know that we speak about Steph a lot on this podcast, and rightfully so. We're big fans of not only her golf, but her personally as well. She has had, if it's possible for us to undersell her year, I think we have, because it's been incredible. You only have to cast your mind back 12 months where she was the rookie of the year on the Ladies European Tour, and really only 18 months when she was winning an event still as an amateur, the Bonneville Resort Classic on the Ladies European Tour. Fast forward, 12, 18 months, and she's now running third in the race to Costa del Sol for the season-long championship. It is not, I think, hyperbole to say the sky's the limit for this young player. He's only just turned 21.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, you look at all the things that we've achieved in Australian golf, whether that's men or women, over the past, I guess, 12 months of this year, and what Minjee Lee's achieved, and just we're going to forget people if we start rattling off names, but Steph's been immensely impressive for her to, as you mentioned, go over to Europe, win Rookie of the Year in such a continuously COVID-affected year. I know things are probably a little different in Europe, but it's really demonstrated maturity beyond her years for a 21-year-old to go over, really take a leap of faith. And when we had her on this podcast, she said that she wanted to be the best in the world. And, she's certainly not doing that goal any injustice at the moment. She's on a great trajectory at the age of 21 to finish third on her first season on the Ladies European Tour. As you said, the sky is the limit for Steph, and hopefully we see her on the LPGA. I believe she was on a flight there today over to the States, KM. So
for Tour Q Series.
Yeah, so really, really exciting stuff for Steph, and hopefully, she does great things in the States, which is, I guess, the next progression of her career.
I think one thing that stands out to me is you look at the number of tournaments played. So I'm just looking through the race to Costa del Sol standings here, Drew. It's Attaya Thidikul, 3,591.96 points from 17 tournaments played. Peter Babnik of Slovenia, 1,953.89 points of 18 tournaments played, closely followed by Steph in third place, 1,765.24 points from 21 tournaments played. 21 tournaments across the season to put yourself in third. And the reason I say this is that she's played near the most amount of anyone inside the top 20. That says to me that you gave yourself also plenty of opportunities to not perform consistently and to have 21 tournaments under your belt and finish third. I think despite maybe not having as impressive results as some of her Australian counterparts across the year, her consistency may be without peer in terms of Australian golf in the past 12 months. She has put herself in a position time and time again, and that speaks to where she finishes the year in terms of the season-long standings. So, yeah, I would absolutely not be surprised if she makes every poster winner over in Tour Q Series on the LPGA, and we could be seeing her play in the States because ultimately I think it's where she belongs long-term.
Oh, absolutely, Cam. I think just to tack on to your point there, the way that she finished the year was fantastic. I mean, she finished sixth in the team event in New York, then 11th in Dubai, 9th at the Saudi Ladies International, 10th in the Aramco Team Series, 4th in the other team series in Saudi, and then 5th at the Open de Spania, as we know. So to finish off without missing, or apart from once in Dubai, without missing a top 10, it's a pretty phenomenal way to finish the year for Steph. So hopefully, as you said, can continue to take that form into the States.
Completely agree with you, Drew. It's just scrolling down the remainder of the race to Costa del Sol season-long standings. Another friend of this program, Whitney Hillier, finished in 45th across the year. I wanted to mention Whitney's name. She also figured in that final event of the season in the early rounds, lost a bit of form there in the final round to drop down and finish in a tie for 23rd. But she's absolutely finished the year with a wet sail, has Whitney Hillier. She's been in incredible form in the past 6 or 7 weeks, and I think has deservedly seen her stocks rise on the race to Costa del Sol. So I think certainly finding her comfort playing on the Ladies European Tour, and I'd expect her to put in some really good performances and take that up to another level next season. Yeah,
100%. Came, as you said, finished really well, obviously highlighted by that T5 finish at the Saudi Ladies International only a couple of weeks ago. So a very good friend of this pod, as you mentioned. So we've got our fingers crossed for Whitney that she can continue to her current trajectory as well. And fingers crossed that first Ladies European Tour victory is around the corner as well.
The other Aussies in terms of the season-long standing, Sarah Kemp in 86th, Sue O in 97th, and then Amy Walsh finished the year in 163rd. So that's the Ladies European Tour done and dusted for the year, Druids. There's really no off-season in golf, so it'll be a quick turnaround again, but we will certainly keep a close eye on the progression of our stars. Just while we're on the ladies, and if you give me a moment, I should have thought of this a little bit sooner, but I did see a stat today which I thought warranted a mention. It was the LPGA did a bunch of posts today across their social, wrapping up strokes gained statistics thanks to KPMG, one of their primary sponsors. Minjee Lee led strokes gained approach per round across the entire LPGA season. 1.85. The next best was Celine Boutier, followed by Jin Young Ko, Lizette Salas, and Austin Ernst. But our very own Minjee Lee, the best strokes gained approach per round statistic across the LPGA Tour for the year.
Fantastic. Great result for Minjee. I mean, not particularly unsurprising, to be honest.
The siblings flush the irons, let me tell you. Both of them do. But yeah, absolutely warranted a mention. Speaking of European tours as well, I wanted to skip over to the men's briefly. Didn't catch a lot of the Joburg Open from Rand Park Golf Club in Johannesburg.
There wasn't much to broadcast, KM.
Well, no. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, Druids, is that now, I don't want to make a lot of the situation because obviously there is an evolving and rapidly moving piece in the southern parts of Africa as it pertains to the new Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus. But it popped its head up as the Johannesburg Open was getting underway. They got through 2 rounds before essentially more than half the field left in order to get back to their respective countries across the European continent before being locked out, essentially. Plenty decided to stay, including England's Ashley Chesters, who ended up finishing in a tie for 3rd. And he'll be glad that he did, because Druids, they still awarded, despite only 2 rounds of play completed, not only did they award a trophy to Tristan Lawrence, who was the winner at 12 under, they awarded the 3 spots for the Open Championship that goes to the top 3 finishers at a national Open based off 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That's a disgrace.
It is. Yeah, look, I don't think I'd want to be in the European Tour shoes making that decision. I don't love the decision they made, but imagine if an Aussie had won this.
We'd be thrilled. We'd be absolutely thrilled. And I'd commend the European Tour on sticking to their convictions and their rules.
Yes. But as you say, obviously pretty tough scenes to be watching over there. But yeah, it's not. I didn't even really know that the Joburg Open was on, to be honest, KM. I mean, it's the start of the new DP World Tour. And we only finished last week. Yeah. And we're straight into it again over there in South Africa. So must admit I didn't pay a huge amount of attention until I saw all the WDs coming through. But it's a tough scene, and I certainly wouldn't want to be the DP World Tour wanting to make that decision on whether the tournament still goes ahead, and then whether people get entries into the Open Championship, obviously reduced to 2 rounds, etc.
Yeah, I've just got a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth that we've awarded 3 places at what many, I know yourself and increasingly myself included, see to be the premier major of the year based on 36 holes of tournament play.
Oh, look, that will even out at the Open Championship.
Yeah.
No disrespect to those 3 players who have got the nod there, but you won't be playing the weekend.
I was just about to say, due respect to Tristan Lawrence, I'm not entirely certain he'll be competitive at the back end of the Open Championship. Back at St Andrews, of all places. He'll be thrilled that he gets a ticket to St Andrews. Yeah. Drew, so on the Asian Tour, and the reason why this was relevant for Australians in particular was a number of them were able to actually compete in competition golf, which is rare these days in this part of the world. Wade Ormsby returned to the Asian Tour, where he currently leads the order of merit. There are a number of other Aussies in the field. I know we'll get to a few in a moment, but Scott Hend ended up being the highest placed Australian in a tie for 4th at 16 under. The tournament was won by Shi Chang Chan of that looks like the
Chinese Taipei.
CT Pan's countryman. There takes home $180,000 US. He won the tournament at 18 under. But as I said, Scotty Hend, the highest finishing Australian at 16 under. The reason I wanted to bring this up, not least of which to mention that Wade Ormsby, despite not having the best of tournaments, he still remains top of the order of merit after his performances across the weekend. Scotty Hend, we've spoken about him recently as well, and his honesty via Twitter, which we certainly appreciate. It was more to do with a health issue of late, Droots, if our listeners recall, which we spoke about in depth, and we admired his ability to be honest and open and vulnerable. This one was a little more golf related, Droots, and I also appreciated this and his ability to be open and honest and vulnerable. He tweeted earlier today, and I'm just trying to find it. What did he say? So he was in contention strongly until things came unstuck on a certain hole due to an errant 5-wood that he hit. And this was the tweet. And you pardon my French, Farken, spelled Farken, Farken lost ball, Farken shank 5-wood. Well, it got what it deserved, I guess. Solid week, but extremely disappointed into the result. On to the next. Fucking lost ball, fucking shank 5 wood. I think it would be an emotion shared by many listeners to this podcast.
It would. No, not at least the two of us. He's a very funny man on Twitter, Scott Hend. I mean, increasingly using the platform to voice some pretty strong COVID-19 opinions, which is interesting at times. Don't always particularly agree with what he says, but a lot of his golf stuff is very funny, and a great result to finish just 2 shots back, as he mentioned. Still takes home 38,000 for his troubles. So good result for him. Trav Smythe also finished in the top 10 after a pretty poor start with the 73. And then, as you said, a host of other Australians playing in the field. Sam Brazel finished 20th. Wade Ormsby T23. You mentioned he was still leading the order of merit. Jake Higginbotham, I beg your pardon. Andrew Martin missed the cut. Will Heffernan missed the cut, as did Josh Younger, Kevin Wan, Benny Eccles, Corey Crawford, and poor David Gleeson had back-to-back 90s, unfortunately. So good to see some Aussies playing on the Asian tour. As we know, obviously got a nice little injection of cash coming its way, courtesy of Greg Norman's Live Investments. So
final thing, sorry to cut you off there, to mention on this tournament, I could feel you running out a little bit of a steam there because we could have gone down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've got to pull myself up.
The shark. It was the Blue Canyon Phuket or Phuket Championship, depending on which part of the world you come from. I wanted to make special mention of the Blue Canyon Canyon course. It was a delight. So I did catch a few holes each of the days that it was on. Really asked some questions, which we don't often see, to be fair, particularly on the PGA Tour. We see a little bit on the European Tour, but you mentioned back-to-back 90s there for the Aussie. There's good reason. The Canyon course was asking some questions. And I think there's also, I think in your mind you have perceptions of what courses might look like in these renowned resort cities. And it defied my expectations. I genuinely looked like a place I'd like to go and play. Despite the 95% humidity that I'm probably sure they persevered through. So just wanted a quick shout out to if you're in the region, if you're joining us from Phuket or you're planning a holiday there in 2024 and we're allowed to go back, check out the Canyon course at Blue Canyon because it looked delightful.
All right. One to add to the Black Book.
Moving on, and I can tell you this will be brief because I don't even know the result other than to say that Brooks Koepka won the latest edition of the match, which of course was played between himself and Bryson DeChambeau. Drewster, a couple of quick observations because I know you caught zero of this. So Brooks, as I said, he won. It was fairly convincing. I think it may have been 3-2. Bearing in mind they only played 12 holes. It was a 12-hole match. So think of that what you will. I've got some concerns with the product when the best part about it is the commentary, which might add was exceptional. Charles Barkley and in particular Phil Mickelson were awesome behind the mic. And I'll credit the team at No Laying Up. I saw a tweet that said that the one downside of Phil's win at the PGA Championship at Kiawah this year is that it's probably robbed us of his golf commentary for the next 5 years because he's going to obviously sustain his career, his playing career off the back of that because he is awesome. He's kind of the golf equivalent of Tony Romo in the combox. And some of the stuff that he was saying, predicting things ahead of time. There was a putt. I don't know if you saw the highlights of this, but a putt that Brooks Koepka took, and he was lining up, and you're getting the reverse angle from behind the hole, shooting back towards Brooks. And Phil was talking before Brooks took his swing about the way that the grain was in the grass, and it was purely off sight. He could see clearly on a screen because he's not greenside. He's looking at the grain of the grass and predicting which way the ball will move, and it was like it followed a script. It was phenomenal. So his commentary was outstanding. Charles Barkley added colour as he has done throughout a number of editions of the match. But there's some concerns for me, Dreads, about the quality of the product when the best thing about it is the audio.
Do you care?
No, and it's not. And I'll say this: it's not built for me. I don't think. It's built, I think, to engage a broader audience. I just think it's such a missed opportunity, and it's twofold. I think where they played, and I think it was the Wynn course in Las Vegas, might be the worst that they've done. There's been 5 editions now. That might be the worst course they've played on. I've never been as engaged from a viewing perspective as I was at the last match, which I think was in Montana, when it was Bryson and Aaron Rodgers up against Phil and Tom Brady from memory. Yeah. And that course in Montana was stunning. I'm just not here for the transplanted desert courses in the middle of Vegas.
No.
Two of the most boring individuals. I mean, Bryson's engaging in a really weird way. Brooks is just flat out dull. Yeah. So the two personalities don't make it. And the golf wasn't great. And so it's not made for me. It's made as an entertainment product. But I just think it's such a missed opportunity because you could take it to some really cool courses around America. And you could also engage just some better golf. Like, how good would a match be between Nelly Corder and Jin Young Ko at the moment? Or between, say, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas? Like, just get people who will engage from a golf perspective.
I think that's the thing for me. Like, why I didn't watch this was that I didn't care. Like, this whole fabricated bullshit between Brooks and Bryson is so irrelevant at the moment, and the trash talk has just got so out of hand, and we're over it. And this was kind of meant to be the, let's pit them together and we'll get all these people watching. And it's not the case. Like, for me, I think the match works. I think the match only works when you've got a genuine superstar involved, and that's like Tiger. That's Tiger or Phil. Like, I think that's the only way that it works. But I take your point that it's not made for you, but I kind of think it is. It's made for golf fans. Like, we should be sitting here going, fuck, how cool was that match between Brooks and Bryson? And like, they missed the opportunity to clearly play 18 holes. But at the same time, it isn't a golf match. It's an entertainment product. And you pick the 2 worst people on the PGA Tour to put in front of there. Put like Max Homer. Max Homer would be interesting for as much shit as I give him. Like, he would be fascinating to watch play against. Put him against Bryson. Geez, that'd be an enjoyable one.
Yeah, I think, let me clarify when I say it's not made for me. That's in the sense that I probably come into it with unrealistic expectations of what it could or maybe even should be.
Yeah.
I think I need to probably approach these with the knowledge that golf, or the actual golf, is really the final consideration of this product, which is hard because that's primarily why I'm tuning in, but it's not what they make it with in mind.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from. And again, I go back to, it's the missed opportunity of what it could be, of who you could pair up, of where you could play it. And I think that I have that in the back of my mind. And I know it's so easy for us to say here without knowing any of the logistics that it takes to find a gap in the schedule to bring 2 people together to play a match at a course that's agreeable to both. Like, it wouldn't be easy to pull together. But surely it could be better than 12 holes between Bryson and Brooks at the fucking Wynn course in Las Vegas.
But that's kind of my point, is why do it then?
Yeah.
Like,
what's the why? I think we keep coming back to that. What is the why?
But we don't need another fucking golf tournament.
No.
We've had 600 tournaments this year. We're saying, like, give us, I think golf fans, people who love the game, you and I are 2 of them. Like, we are saying, don't give us golf. Give us the opportunity to miss it, which is what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, is give us the opportunity to miss golf. And we don't have a PGA Tour tournament this week. So hit a fucking 12-hole bullshit match between Brooks and Bryson. Like, that doesn't satisfy my need for golf. Give me the week off. Like, as I've said before, after the Tour Championship finishes, leave me alone until January. Uncharted territory.
I dropped out of year 11 economics. It was never my favorite subject, but I'm pretty certain, even with my fairly rudimentary knowledge, scarcity creates demand.
Yes. Supply and demand.
We are oversaturated with golf. Take some of it away, and I guarantee it, rather than see people drop off, it will bring more people back. Is if you consolidate the amount that's played and increase the quality and the broadcast viewing product. That should be the focus, not creating more opportunities. So
completely agree. Okay.
We shall wait and see. Just on that note, briefly, Drudes, before we turn our attention to a few results here closer to home. An announcement out of the PGA since our last recording. Essentially, they'll say till they're blue in the face, this has got nothing to do with the impending threat of Saudi Arabia or the PGL, but it's a cash grab, and this is a direct response to the riches on offer from alternative sources. They made an announcement last week of an increase in purses and funding for their players. So the highlights increase from 60 to 75 million in the FedEx Cup bonus pool. The Comcast Business Tour Top 10 up from 10 million to 20 million. The Player Impact Program, or the PIP, which was at 40 million this year, will be increased to 50 million. We still won't know the details of who gets that money. The Play 15 bonus program of $10 million, which is a new initiative for 2022. Official prize money of 427 million, which is an increase of 100 million from this year. Average purse of $9.1 million next year. Player-hosted invitational, so that's the Genesis, the Arnold Palmer, the Memorial, up to 12 million from 9.3 this year. WGCs up from 10.5 to 12 million. FedEx Cup playoffs up to 15 million from 9.5 million. And the players goes from 15 million to $20 million. Essentially, an additional $153 million of player allocated money in 2022 coming the way of the cohort of druids from the PGA Tour who are throwing money at a problem.
It's a Band-Aid fix.
On an axe wound.
Oh, no, it's a fucking chainsaw wound, KM. We probably could and should do another whole episode on this,
Yes.
which we might do before the end of the year. But having listened to No Laying Up's interview with the PGO, I can't remember, Andy, whatever his name is. Do you know the episode I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think it was Gardner? Andy Gardner?
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
I am
very good interview.
I am all in on the PGL. Like, I am co-cracking. I'm in. Like, I love the concept. Like, I know there are a number of challenges to work through, and maybe I'm probably more in on the concept than the PGL itself. And I don't really give a shit if the PGA Tour do this, but like, I'm in on it. Like, I love it, and this isn't the solution for the PGA Tour. It's not a money thing anymore.
Did it have anything to do with the amount of times Andy Gardner from the PGL referenced either the Concord Agreement, Bernie Ecclestone, or Formula One as an example?
It did. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I don't know. I just think that this is look, perhaps this is a really smart strategic play from the PGA Tour, in the sense that this isn't designed to help the people that are going to be potentially lured away by the PGL.
No.
Or like your JTs, your Rorys, etc. If they're going to go, right? They've made enough money. They're rich. They don't have to work another day in their life. I think where that it was really interesting in that interview was talking about the voting rights and the voting members.
Yeah.
If they can appease the masses of the, whatever it is, 250 people who get to vote in the players, if they can say, well, actually, you've got a better chance of winning on the PGA Tour for $20 million, as opposed to not even getting a contract over here in the PGL, what are you better off doing?
Yeah.
So it potentially is a really smart strategic play, but yeah, I guess it'll remain to be seen how the cards fall.
I just, for me, I think it, and again, I agree we should probably do a neat podcast to wrap this up in terms of a status or progress update prior to the end of the year. But I think they're trying to fight a battle they can't win. They cannot win the money battle. So it's incredible. An additional $153 million is phenomenal for the playing cohort. But you look at I think they said the average purse for next year will be a bit of a $9 million. The average, the weekly purse that the PGL is promising is 20, which is what the players is next year, which is the premier tournament on the PGA Tour. There is nothing bigger than the players, and it has the biggest purse. That's what the PGL is offering week in, week out, $20 million.
Yeah.
And so they can't win. The Saudis will offer more. They 100% will offer more than the PGL can offer. So the PGA Tour can't win a money war.
No.
And so I don't understand why that's the battlefield they've chosen to fight on. because all it's doing is kicking the can down the road. It will meet an inevitable end where the players will force the issue if they really want to, and they can't win on the money front. So, yeah, it's interesting because they'll bleed themselves dry trying to do it as well. The part that I didn't mention in that media release was they've dipped into the cash reserves to top up. So that's how desperate this is getting. They've got an incredibly deep pocket in terms of their reserves, which is incredible for essentially a not-for-profit organisation. But they've dipped into the cash reserves for the first time to top up the player funding, which I think speaks volumes of the magnitude they think of the problem they face.
Yeah, 100%. Very well put. And we'll leave it because we could go for an hour and a half. If we
could. Just before we briefly wrap up some home results, Druids, a message from our good friends at the Golf Collective, I think would be in order at this time, given the amount of people who I'm certain are taking to the course with the weather starting to warm up.
Yes, 100%. As we mention each and every week, $19 off an annual membership to the Golf Collective using the promo code 19th T19THTEE. Visit the golfcollective.co/19th to sign up. So essentially $110 and you get an official Golf Link handicap. Every member can be handicapped for any social rounds, including 9 holes using the mobile scoring system. And every member competing in order of merits and challenges for prizes sent straight to your door. So if you don't have a handicap, you'd like one, $110 is all you're forking out. You will not find a cheaper handicap. So thegolfcollective.co/19th.
It's an outstanding setup, and we're very proud to be partnering with the Golf Collective to continue to make it as easy as humanly possible for people to get out on the course. Dreadstar, a couple of results at home in the past week before we wrap things up.
Yeah, just will mention at the time of recording, the Western Open is being played out in Dubbo. Shout out to our good friend Daniel Gale, who is currently leading that. It is a two-round event. He is in the clubhouse at 9 under, just ahead of Charlie Dan and Grace Kim as well. So it is a mixed field event, which is fantastic to see. Our guest, Justin Warren, is in at T7. So we will ask him about his round very shortly. And then the Murray Open was played over the 25th and 26th of November. And a good friend of the podcast, Matthew Miller, got the chockies here at 10 under. Made a bit of a shaky start on the second day, but levelled things out to be a 3-shot winner over Charlie Dan and Elvis Smiley, who had a nice 68 to finish T3 alongside Daniel Gill. So Daniel Gale, a good friend, was in contention in that, playing in the final group, I believe, or one of the final groups, but couldn't get the job done. And Paul Wazza, unfortunately, had a bit of a shocker on the second round. So shout out Matty Miller for the win, and hopefully Daniel Gale can hold on for the victory out there at the Western Open. KM.
Excellent, Drew. It's so good to see some tournament golf and a bit of momentum on that front for our players here at home, and a couple of names that we know well popping up there at the pointy end. So that's good. As we mentioned, our good friend Justin Warren will be a guest. We're going to record that one this evening, which is Monday night, and play it on Thursday because I'll be at the range on Thursday, yes. Druids, maybe for 3 to 4 hours before I make my Brookwater debut. Of course, at the Josh McIntosh Memorial Golf Day on Friday. Increasingly nervous, I would suggest, about playing Brookwater for the first time. I think it's a genuine case of will I play the course or will the course play me? I think that's a huge question. So tune in to the 19th Tee socials on Friday. I'll keep you abreast of my progress. But regardless, it's all for a fantastic cause. So thank you to those who have supported the Black Friday sale in support of Team Telomere, and we will extend that for a few more days to get people in, and of course all proceeds from our Black Friday sale go towards supporting Team Telomere in honour of Josh McIntosh. So really looking forward to getting out there to celebrate Josh on Friday at Brookwater, which would be great fun. So that'll do us. Yes. I think for tonight, Dreads, we need to jump off here so we can welcome the Wizard and look forward to bringing that to everybody on Thursday night. He's always entertaining. I'm sure it'll start with golf and probably go in many other different directions. So look forward to bringing that on Thursday. Until then, stay safe, everybody, and we're definitely into the Christmas spirit now. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks as we wind down the year.